Hi everyone! You're listening to The Globe in the Garden, a podcast about the state of world language education in the state of New Jersey. I'm Julia Koch, and I am your host, as well as the Vice President of Advocacy and Outreach for Foreign Language Educators of New Jersey, also known as FLENJ. Today's episode is an interview with FLENJ President Ennis Simonson. Enjoy! All right. Welcome, everyone, to our first episode of The Globe in the Garden, the state of world language in the state of New Jersey. I'm really proud of that title. I just want you to know, Alice, I worked for a long time coming up with that, putting all of the permutations of words about language and flowers and stuff like that together. So I'm very excited that that's what we landed on.
I love it.
Yes. And true to form, we will be ending each of our podcasts with a question about flowers because, I had to really we're language teachers. You got to make that theme just carry all the way through. So we're going to go with that. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for viewing us on YouTube and listening to our podcast. We are here this morning with FLENJ President Ennis Simonson. Alice, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Julia, for putting this together.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. I think this is going to be a really cool opportunity for people to, get to know people who are on our board and people who are really doing some cool things with language education and policy in the state of New Jersey, and also kind of know what FLENJ can offer them and what resources there might be for them to do cool things that they wouldn't have known about before. So it only felt right to start with you since you are the primary mover and shaker. So would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and, what you do and that kind of thing?
Well, I think I would describe myself as wearing many hats, probably maybe too many hats. Let's see, 25-year veteran high school teacher at the regional high school. Yeah, 25 years. I just finished this year there.
Congratulations.
Thank you. French, Spanish, and ELL.
Okay.
So, wonderful, students I get to meet every day. Also, another hat, I think about 15 years, I've been an assistant at the local university, Monmouth University, and most recently now teaching as an adjunct level there for the French. So that's really exciting. So I get to see the continuum.
Yeah.
And then with my school, it's really been fun because I've got to see the international program grow there, and I am the international program coordinator there. So I help with J1 and F1 students that get to come into our school, and I also facilitate a program that I started called Global Gab there, where students get to gab about their culture, their language, their experience wherever they are from. So that's been really a standing room only event, and that's been fun to facilitate. Oh gosh, many more hats. Wife to an amazing husband, mother to 3 fabulous daughters that I'm blessed to call my daughters, and them call me mom. A big reader, camper, creator. I'm actually also a costume designer.
That's so cool.
One of my favorite things. Yeah, some crazy costumes over the years that I've usually had some sort of connection to language learning or French language learning. I think my first year I walked around the school as Quasimodo. No one knew who I was. I scared everyone.
Amazing.
I think my superintendent wanted to fire me right away, but here I am 25 years later.
I love it.
So lots of hats, and now
FLENJ President. So we'll just pile that hat on top of all of the other hats that are already there. That's amazing.
Actually, I meant to have the hat that we all got as the FLENJ board, and
I know.
I meant to bring it with me today to this recording, but I forgot. Darn it! Missed opportunity.
We'll post a picture of you later. No worries.
Okay. Thank you.
Because now everyone's going to be like, oh, I've got to see that hat. So no worries, everyone. We'll post a picture on social media later. So how did you end up with your most recent hat? How did you kind of get introduced to FLENJ and then get, the opportunity to be on the FLENJ board? How did that happen?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, FLENJ and AATF became a part of my professional life very early on when I was still studying at Douglas College, Rutgers University. And I joined at that point, I think my senior year, or at least when I was doing my student teaching. So 26 years ago. And it became super important for me, certainly in 1995 when I was the singleton French teacher in my school, just to really, not that I didn't have other language folks to sort of put ideas off of, but I was kind of the newbie in the department, and I was wanting to do things in a newbie way, and it was hard to do it when other folks had their way, and it maybe wasn't. So it was good to get the support of FLENJ and to come to, always going to the annual conference, always attending the workshop series, and then certainly always in awe of, like, they were like, all the folks that were FLENJ, I would see them, walking around with their badges, and they just had this, I don't know, it was aura, like it was like famous, like all of these famous folks, and come to like find out is that really, bizarrely enough, whether it was just sort of where I was putting myself, like so many of the past presidents, like I worked with, like Sherry Quinlan, I attended workshops of hers in Toms River. I actually was a student, I took Spanish with Dr. Lopez Diaz at NJCU. I even traveled with her to the DR for a course that she created there. I took an ed tech course in world language education with Martin Smith at Rutgers University. Okay. And then it was so funny because as I was reflecting about this, Roseanne Zippieri reminded me that it must have been like super early on in my career. I was attending an AATF conference down in Philly, and I guess I hadn't booked a hotel room, and I crashed on her hotel room floor. Because so like, it's so sort of funny. And now certainly having worked under Chris Gwynn brought me onto the board, and then having worked under Amanda Seawald and Frank Ruggiero, like, it's just sort of weird, those connections, the 6 degrees of things that sort of happen. So, the whole, how I actually got here other than that, it was, Marie-Laure Hoffman, who is co-president of AATF New Jersey, had been on the board and was also looking to leave, and knew that I was involved certainly with AATF and with FLENJ, and said, Alice, you'd be great. So I think she sort of was the entree for me as far as being a part of the board. Okay.
That makes sense. I think that's one of the cool things. I didn't grow up in New Jersey. I grew up in Pennsylvania. So it wasn't until I moved to New Jersey that I really started making connections. And I continue to be amazed, 8, 9 years later, about how everybody knows everybody. Like, it's the coolest thing, because it's like, I met this wonderful person, and then I realized, 2 years later that they're like the spouse of whatever. One time I ran into you in the elevator at the FLENJ conference, had no idea who you were. You were so nice. You like invited me to a dinner that night or something, like asked me all about myself, and then I got off the elevator and someone was like, that was Alice Simonson, right? And I was like, no, I don't. What? Like, I have no idea. So it's just so cool, because you meet these people and everybody's so kind and warm and wonderful, and like, how can I help you? And then 2.5 months later, 3 years later, you're like, oh, that's who that person is. It's such a cool thing.
It really is. It is a special part, and I think it is what makes New Jersey world language education there are many special things, but one of them is that really, that conviviality, that wanting to reach out and be connected with each other.
It's so true. So I'm curious to know, because, I've never gotten to pick your brain about this. The FLENJ, I've been spending a lot of time with the FLENJ mission and vision statements recently. Mm-hmm. But I was wondering what your take is on the FLENJ mission statement. Like, is there anything about it that particularly resonates with you?
Good question. And it's so interesting because honestly, I don't really remember looking at the mission statement until last year when I was working on planning our strategic planning light session that we had last summer. And it was obviously very important to look at that as we're doing any planning and anything really moving forward, but influencing policy and practice to ensure high quality world language education in New Jersey schools. So for me, what really resonated was the duality of it. So having the policy and then the practice, and how also the interdependence of those two. And going forward, when we were doing our strategic planning, it really, in really reshaping the organization, tweaking our VP of membership to your now new role, VP of Outreach and Advocacy, just made so much sense. The roadmap was there, but we hadn't seen it by virtue of the sense that we didn't have the systems in place. FLENJ had in the past had been working with, mail in your conference.
Yeah.
I remember writing checks and sending them off.
Right.
Now these days, who even uses a check? So the evolution of FLENJ based on this, the policy and practice is really exciting. So I'm super excited to see, how, I can help you and, this to fulfill our mission more effectively with the new approach in mind.
It's so true. And I think that this is it feels to me, not that I have anything to compare it to, because I just joined the board a year ago, something like that, a year and a half ago. But it seems to me that this is a really cool time to be on the board, because there's so much change happening. And just like with every other facet of our lives, change happens so much more rapidly than maybe it did in the past. So it's like nothing stays still. There are constantly opportunities to innovate and to more fully realize, what we're trying to do, and look for new ways to reach people. And I think it's really cool that we're talking about this, because that's where the podcast came from. We were like, what's another way that we can engage with language teachers in the state of New Jersey and let them know what we do and how we're, formed and what our function is and stuff like that, and then how we can be of assistance to them. So speaking of the makeup and function of the FLENJ board, could you talk a little bit about, I know, right? I'm really proud of my segues. So,
you're very good transitioner, Julia.
Thank you very much. So I think it would be helpful for us to talk a little bit about the makeup of the FLENJ board, how many people we have, what positions we have, who does what, that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's an all volunteer board. That's very important to know. And then we are 17 members total. There are 7 exec committee members, and then there are 10 directors. And the directors and executive committee members work on various committees. Oftentimes the executive committee members are in charge of those committees, but not necessarily. So committees such as our awards committee, our mentoring fellowship committee for teachers, and now also for supervisors, certainly our annual conference committee, our hugest PD event of the year, our summer refresher committee, membership committee, feedback and volunteer committee, advocacy, workshop committee, nominating committee, so that division of labor down to all those committees.
It's so true. So what, who are the people who sit on the exec board, and what exactly do they do?
So we have Sal Venerio, who is our secretary. So he's keeping notes for us, certainly at our exec meetings. He's also working on correspondence pieces, also the chair of our summer refresher this year. So again, many hats.
Yep.
In this organization. We all have to hold on to and wear. We have Michelle Schreiner. She is our treasurer. So working in all of our accounts and keeping our budget and keeping us afloat financially. We have our 2 VPs. So we have VP of Programs, that's Christine Keefe, and she's helping us with all of our programs that we have during the year for professional development, our workshop series, our summer refresher, of course our annual conference, of which she is co-chair, along with Josephine Serrano. We also have you, dear, our VP of Advocacy and Outreach. So we're really so excited to be forming that position and really see you put stuff out there, and really we're so happy so far, and thank you so much for all your hard work.
Oh, of course.
And then we have our past president, Dr. Frank Ruggiero, and we have our president-elect, Derek Sika. And so
and you. Don't forget about
and
you.
Yes, and yes, don't forget. That's a line in the song. Don't you forget about me.
Well done. Musical interlude, okay. Everyone.
Yeah, there you go. I've always wanted to sing live,
that's
so
amazing.
There we go.
Check it out.
Yeah, so just really 17, actually currently right now we're 16, so we are looking for our 17th member, but certainly just really a well-oiled team, everyone ready to step up, everyone, we're humans first, we're partners and family members first, but the volunteer work is done out of passion for world language learning. And really, I'm just so grateful to be a part of the team. I really feel like that's what we are. We're a team. And even though there's this hierarchy, at the end of the day, we're all coming together to make FLENJ the best it can be for our members. So,
yeah,
really a super, super team.
It's awesome. And I have to say, again, not that I have anything to compare it to because I've never sat on a board of directors before, but it's a really cool, I'm always amazed at the amount of times that anyone is willing to raise their hand and say, I'll take that on. I'll be happy to help you with that. It's so cool. There are so many things that we can pull off just because a couple of people who are like, you know what, right now I can dedicate an extra chunk of time to this. Let's make this happen. And, it might be a couple of intense weeks or months of work, but amazing things happen. And it's not necessarily because of where people are in the hierarchy. It's because they say, yeah, I'm happy to take that on in order to make this, this vision that somebody has a reality. Like, that's a really cool thing. You've got somebody who brings a pitch to the board, and inevitably you've got anywhere, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 17 of us who are like, yes, let's work together to make this happen. So I just love seeing that. It's so cool. It's really inspiring. So
it is. It really is.
So what are you looking forward to, seeing happen with FLENJ? That was a terribly worded question, but I think you know what I mean. Like, over the coming months and years, what are you looking forward to seeing FLENJ do?
Yeah, looking forward is really an important piece, and that's the vision that we have. So I think being good listeners, listening to our members, listening to what's going on and responding as best we can to the needs of our members and what's going on in our profession. I think I am very proud of how we responded initially and speedily in the pandemic with the April Tech Chat series. I think it was a good example of helping our members and beyond, deal with the difficult reality of all of a sudden having to teach virtually.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to, as you just mentioned, really just sort of, having a vision, having a creative idea, and seeing where it goes, running pilot programs. We're running the member book club discussions on titles related to racial and social equity in education. Really excited for those conversations. And certainly the creative and innovative work that we're trying to do with our first ever virtual summer refresher. Not coming together in person, but coming together virtually over a period of 5 days in August, with Sal as our chair. I think we have a great lineup, 16 PD hours, folks that attend can get either live or recorded. I think that's an offering that certainly we've never done. Maybe other organizations are, but we haven't, and it's super exciting for us that we can bring that to our members. having a keynote. I don't know if we've ever done that before. We're going to have a keynote this year. Very excited to welcome Dr. Maggie Fall from Rowan University. She's going to be giving a keynote, Reimagining Educational Responsibility, a vision of world language teaching for equity and social change. So really important message, and looking forward to learning from her. I'm excited to learn from NJDOE at our workshop at the series in the summer refresher for, kind of giving us a little direction.
On those new standards?
Yes, those new standards, absolutely. We have some great sponsored sessions, just some great sessions all the way around, and I hope everyone checks those out and comes and joins us either, live or just listens to the recordings at their own leisure. I know there's going to be so much great learning there that's going to help us really hopefully center us in the craziness to come for September.
Yeah.
And then, these podcasts, Julia, I'm super excited for folks to be able to hear them and watch them. Super excited to see what you and your committee are going to do for advocacy work, as that's really the backbone of what we're doing here at FLENJ. Just excited again for just the possibilities, the possibilities to do as we always have done, provide quality PD, advocate for our profession, but also then to see where we can go creatively. Within the confines of our finances and within the confines of the folks that are willing to do the work for us. So very excited.
It's true. We're really in this cool space of really building our, we talk all the time about like building your teacher toolbox, but I feel like we're really building our nonprofit board toolbox, like we're trying all of these new things, some of them born out of, necessity, because an in-person summer refresher was just not going to work this year. So we needed to figure out, a way to still meet the professional development needs of teachers, but in a way that didn't require us to gather personally. But now, the like steep learning curve, definitely, but now that's a skill that we're going to have. So that's always going to be an option for us. And I'm really excited to see what the possibilities are going to be as we move forward. And now we have the choice, like everything that we choose to do, we can decide, do we want it to be in person, or is virtual going to be a better fit for the people that we want to be able to attend and stuff like that. So I think the possibilities are going to be like just endless after we've tried all of these things and continue to see what works and what doesn't. And I would like to put out, a plea to anyone listening. This is only going to work well if we have feedback from the people who are attending these events. So if there's something that you really like, please let us know. If there's something that doesn't really work for you, let us know that too, because unless we get feedback, we're not going to know what things we should keep and what things people really like and what things maybe aren't such a good fit depending on the situation. So we definitely would not be able to make all of this work well without the feedback of our members. So just put in a plug.
Absolutely.
So what, now that we're talking about all of these endless possibilities, what would you do if you had unlimited resources? Like sky in the sky, dream big with me, Alice. What would you do?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I have quite a few, but I think two sort of resonate right off the bat with me. And the first one, you're going to be like, oh my God, what is this woman thinking?
I'm ready.
And if I had my druthers, actually, this would be my doctoral thesis. If I could get myself to go back to school and get my doctorate.
I love it.
Yeah, nerd alert. But it's all good. I think I would just really, shift the paradigm. I would take all of my high school colleagues, maybe half of them, and we just take our little selves, our pedagogy, our building of proficiency, and I would just steer us right down to the elementary schools in New Jersey, public and private, and we would create just change our whole thing but keep the language, but just do it to those little kids that we know, up to 10 years, they're going to be sponges, the language learning over time, the fluency level that they can reach. And we'll build the program. So what we have now of like this cone where there's, so few kids learning at the age where they really are going to attain that fluency level in such a way that's efficient and a lot less painful, shall I say. And then right now we have that cone where they're mostly in high school learning it. Well, let's switch that just for now so that cone, the big part of the cone, is at the lower grades, but not keep the cone to point, but really keep it maintained so it ends up being like a geometric form? A rectangle going up. Yeah. Or so that we and then we'll have our seal of biliteracy, the 8th grade seal of biliteracy that folks are talking about. We'll have, I know the World Language standards have really tried to push the age down where they can in New Jersey, the new ones. So the pieces are there. The teachers, we have some, we don't have all of them. Some can't get visas, which is horrible. But the ones that are here, half of us, can we go down and do that? I am so ready to do that. Maybe just because 25 years, and I love my high school kids, but I just think I could, and I do this for my own daughter. We do a program this year, my French students, we developed a little program it happened to be for the Girl Scout troops. We were doing French for Girl Scouts. So and cool. We were bringing them in, and oh my gosh, they were so lovely, so hungry, and I guess I had not being an early language educator, it was just so refreshing to see that they were so hungry. It was like not like, oh madame, you're making me speak French, you're making me speak Spanish. It was or English sometimes. It was really, oh, sure, we'll do it. And the pronunciation. So really that's, to do that would be, if that's pie in the sky, I don't know, but the science is there. I don't know how to figure it out within the paradigm of what we have. Yeah. And then the other thing is maybe a little bit more, possible. And I think we actually talked about it at our strategic planning light, but really, and the model is there. I mean, with AATF New Jersey, we try and run at least one event for language learners, French language learners there in New Jersey a year for the students. So I think I'd really like to see FLENJ do more. Certainly, we're here for the teachers. We're here for them and the supervisors working for world language education. But really, ultimately, we're doing it for the teachers to help the students. So what can we do? What events can we do where we can reach out? Maybe now, because of this virtual world that we're living in so much more, maybe we can create some events with the students that are in the classrooms right now learning. What do they want to see more of? How can we help them better, and really hear from them? So, is that really something that is pie in the sky? I don't know, but certainly it's something that I don't know if that we've done a lot of, but maybe we can do.
Yeah. Oh, so cool. I'm all excited now. So what about FLENJ makes you proudest? And I know that there are so many potential answers to this question, but I'm really curious to hear which one you're going to go with.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I think that it's so funny because FLENJ, it's people, it's our members, it's our board, it's FLENJ, it's this ethos, it's the feeling that you get of being supported. You just say FLENJ. You can make it a verb. You can make it a noun. You can are you flenging? I guess it is, as we were talking a little bit about today, it's our adaptability. It's rolling with the punches, being a team, supporting each other, and ultimately, what we do to help our members and to help the profession. I think all of that together is, maybe it's a lame answer, but it's really a package deal.
Yeah.
FLENJ is in and of itself something that, and I don't know, maybe I knew back when that somehow I was going to have a bigger role in this organization. Who knows? I feel like I have that sort of sixth sense sometimes, but, and I don't know, and it's not going to be me, it's going to be the team that's going to do it. So that's what I'm excited about and most proudest of FLENJ is that we are a team.
Yeah, it's true. And it's hard to separate out one thing because like you said, it really is the ethos. Like it's the adaptability, it's the humility to listen to feedback and really use it to grow, both individually and when it comes to like committees working together and being like, okay, we got a lot of feedback that this didn't work. Like the humility works with the adaptability, which works with our ability to, kind of set aside constraints and imagine what could be. Like it all works together to do the cool things that we have done and have in the pipeline and are still really far off and just a dream at the moment. Like it all makes FLENJ what it is, which is so cool. All right. Last question. And it's our garden question because again, with this, we are the globe in the garden. So
we are.
So do you have any memories that involve flowers, Alice?
I do. I have many. And when I was reflecting on this, a sort of an odd one came up, and I hope you'll humor me in hearing it. I guess since we're recording, you're going to let me say it no matter what. So I think I was working with my mom to plan, I think it was maybe a graduation party after my master's, I believe. So we were having an outdoor little party at my parents' home, and we were setting up flowers on the tables for the guests. And I think it was sunflowers, I believe. And so I was putting them in their bouquets and setting them all up. And then I was proud of my work, and then I remember seeing my mom go back. My mom, I love you, Mom, if she ever listens to this. And I remember her going back and like reorganizing my bouquets. And I don't know, something in me, maybe finally I'd had my master's, I don't know, I was older, I don't know, but I said, Mom, why are you doing that? Like I just did it. Like you don't need to do it. And I said, if you want me to do it a certain way, show me. And then I will do it like that. But until I know. And that resonated with her. She said, okay. And she's told me that, well, Alice, my mom used to remake my bed after I made it. Oh. And it was like perspective for me. It was like, okay. So that, like we do what we learn. And so I think I thought about this because that's how, and we were just talking about it, the humility. Like, you know what? We have systems in place, but that doesn't mean that we can't learn from them. We can't make models and switch. So that I hope that as a leader, as an educational leader, that I can set up models, that I can, listen and, change what I can, but not be controlling about it and just be giving a guide and making it a give and a take. So, I'm not exactly sure if that's the humoristic ending that you wanted, but it was really a lesson from my mom and I as far as generational things that we learned from our parents, but also just a lesson for life that we can model for each other and we can be honest and share our past feelings and move forward and learn from it. So that's what I'm hoping that I get to do with FLENJ. I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to do my best and learn from things.
Yeah. Well, I have to say it wasn't quite the ending that I was picturing in my head. I was going to go with something more like, one time one of your daughters picked all of, someone's roses or like, something like that. But honestly, Alice, I would have expected nothing less than a beautiful metaphor for education and educational policy at the end of your podcast. So we are right on brand there.
Aw, thanks, Julia.
Alice, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with me this morning. I'm so excited for everyone to get to know you better and me better and the FLENJ board. And I think that this podcast is just going to be a really cool thing that we can offer to world language educators in New Jersey. So thank you for taking the time.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you, Julia. Thank you for everything.
thank you for listening to this episode of The Globe in the Garden, a FLENJ production. To stay up to date on future episodes, be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcatcher and on the FLENJ YouTube channel. Intro and outro music is Little Idea by Scott Holmes. I'm Julia Koch. See you next time.